Now, the latest development in the political arena have exposed the rift in the Azimio coalition, despite assurances from the party's leadership that the coalition is intact. The coalition has had dissenting voices in the past few weeks, especially when it comes to issues to do with nomination of cabinet secretaries in the Ruto-led government. Tonight here on the program, we'll be speaking to Asha Bashir, who is the Secretary General NAK Kenya Party, after the NAK Kenya Party wrote to the Azimio coalition saying it wishes to exit that particular coalition. Also tonight, the issues of police brutality have been taking center stage in the country after the protests last month. Due to that, 50 people have so far died. We'll be speaking to IPOA Commissioner, that is John Waiganjo, on the way forward as far as investigations are concerned and getting to the bottom of this particular conversation tonight on our top stories. Police in Nairobi disperse protesters, arrest activists including Boniface Mwangi and Hussein Khalid during commemoration of protest victims.
The coalition as of today has not received an indication or a notice to the effect that ODM will be pulling out or are pulling out of the coalition.
NAK Kenya Party leader Martha Karua announces her departure from the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition, while Kalonzo Musyoka insists that ODM party remains united. Azimio leader Raila Odinga denies any knowledge of a deal that led to ODM officials being appointed to President Ruto's cabinet.
Mimi nawauliza wa Kenya, tuungane, hatuna nchi ingine. Nchi yetu ni moja. Tukiharibu hii, hatuna mahali pengine pa kwenda.
Also tonight, President William Ruto calls on Gen Z to cease protests and give the new government a chance, defending the recent cabinet appointments. Now, sign language interpreter tonight is Walter Asewe. Engage us on our socials at Amoy Brian, that is on X at K24 TV. We are also live on YouTube and on Facebook. We do welcome your feedback on those particular social platforms. We'll be sampling some of it as we continue with the program tonight. Now, let's begin. NAK Kenya Party, a constituent of the Azimio coalition, has formally written to the Azimio coalition Secretary General indicating interest to exit the party. Now, the Martha Karua-led party cited the recent political developments as the reason for their decision, confirming the rift within the coalition despite rhetoric that the coalition is intact. In the opposition coalition has now been cemented by the move by the Karua-led party to exit the coalition. The party's acting Secretary General Asha Bashir communicated this decision in a letter addressed to Junet Mohammed. The letter states, "Kindly take note that our stay in Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition is not tenable due to the prevailing political developments. As NAK Kenya, by way of this letter, we are giving the notice to exit the coalition as stipulated in the exit clause in the coalition's agreement. This notice is effective from the date of this letter." This decision comes despite recent assurances that the coalition was intact and that the relationship with other coalition leadership was solid. The voices in Azimio in the past few weeks have been dissenting, with the coalition constituent parties pulling in different directions. The split was widened in the coalition over the calls for a broad-based government by the Kenya Kwanza Alliance regime, with the constituent parties in the coalition asserting they will not be part of it. The recent developments that have seen the ODM members nominated to join the government have so far exposed the rift in the opposition. Azimio had earlier maintained that joining the government in any form was not a subject of debate. Martha Karua, who was Raila Odinga's running mate in the 2022 presidential race, was seen as a potential leader of the coalition. Her departure may herald a major transformation or end for the alliance. Now, leaders from the Azimio coalition led by Kalonzo Musyoka have accused President William Ruto of undermining the opposition, both outside and inside parliament. Now, they criticized the recent appointment of ODM leaders to cabinet positions, claiming it was a personal decision not sanctioned by Azimio. Dan Kaburu reports.
Following the appointment of ministers from the ODM party by President William Ruto, the Azimio Alliance today emerged to criticize the move, alleging that it is a part of a strategy to weaken the opposition by co-opting its members.
We believe that Ruto is an existential threat to our democracy and must be resisted, even as we say Ruto must go. Kenyans desire genuine reforms, sound leadership and openness in the administration of public affairs. Cosmetic procedures and incompetence recycling of Ruto by Ruto will not help.
The leaders stated that there was no agreement between Azimio and the Kenya Kwanza government regarding the appointment. They emphasized that the decision to appoint ODM leaders to ministerial positions was made unilaterally and did not reflect the coalition's stance.
Ruto's continued cannibalization of political parties. He's done this to Jubilee in the past. He's now doing it to ODM. Goes against the letter and spirit of the Constitution of Kenya. It also offends the NADICO report, the National Dialogue Committee report.
The leaders emphasized that the Azimio coalition remains strong and united, insisting that the absence of any ODM leaders at the press briefing does not indicate any division within the alliance.
The coalition as of today has not received an indication or notice to the effect that ODM will be pulling out or are pulling out of the coalition. If that happens, we'll deal with it at that time.
However, the absence of Kenya Party leader Martha Karua at today's meeting has raised questions about the future of the Azimio coalition. Dan Kaburu, K24, Nairobi.
All right, now Azimio Principal Raila Odinga has addressed the recent nomination of 4 top ODM officials to President William Ruto's cabinet, asserting that he was unaware of the appointments and that neither Azimio nor ODM has entered into any coalition agreement with the current government. Now, meanwhile, the ODM party is in turmoil, with Embakasi East legislator Babu Owino declaring himself the new chief opposition leader. Now, in a surprising twist, ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna appears to be launching a new political outfit in the Western region, collaborating with ruling party Secretary General Cleophas Malala. Joel Chacha reports.
The sustainable accusations that the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga is a betrayer of the people after his top officials in the ODM party were nominated to join President William Ruto's cabinet has forced Odinga to come out clear. In a statement, Odinga has distanced himself from the appointments, claiming he was unaware of any deals involving Wycliffe Oparanya, Hassan Joho, John Mbadi, and Opiyo Wandayi. Odinga firmly stated that neither the ODM party nor the Azimio coalition is in a coalition with President Ruto's Kenya Kwanza government. However, the orange is already beat as Embakasi East legislator Babu Owino has now declared himself the opposition leader.
From today henceforth, I'm the chief opposition leader because there are so many jokes doing rounds. There are so many people who are in the opposition, who are now in bed with the government. My interest is to fight for Kenyans. The new face of cabinet does not meet any demand, not of the Gen Zs, not obeying even the 2/3 gender rule. Even persons with disabilities are not considered. The only disability that President has considered is mental disabilities that he has decided to nominate in the cabinet.
The orange could further be sliced into pieces with its members, accusing the top officials of being greedy.
Before we sit down to address the issues being addressed by Gen Z, we behave like vultures. It's totally unfortunate.
A coalition government cannot be done in a convoluted manner. You know what a coalition government is. You cannot have a coalition government with a few people patches here and there joining the government. You must sit down, draw a coalition agreement. So if William Ruto decide to fire Oparanya, what will you do?
The fate of ODM also hangs in balance as its Secretary General Edwin Sifuna has appeared to forge a new political outfit, beginning with his Western Kenyan backyard. Despite being fierce opponents with the ruling party SG Cleophas Malala, the twin company of Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya are now together with a common purpose that remains unclear.
Kuna pengo la uongozi katika upande ule wa magharibi. Kuna wale viongozi ambao wamekuwa kwa kule mbele, lakini tunaona kwamba masuala ya jamii hawayaangalii kikamilifu.
Wale viongozi ambao wamekuwa hapa juu wamekuwa kiongea mambo yao kibinafsi, alafu wanasema wana represent community. Si tumesema kabla to decide kitu chochote leo, lazima turudi kwa watu wetu, tusikie wananchi na watu wa mkoa wa Magharibi wanataka nini. So tumekubaliana kwamba tunaenda kuwa na mkutano wa viongozi, grassroots leaders wa mkoa wa Magharibi yote, county zetu 5 zote, on Monday kule Kakamega.
As leaders, you cannot just sit and do nothing. When there are challenges that are facing the people, I think it is incumbent upon us to come together, to reason together and try to see how we can be able to provide solutions to some of the problems we have. As you know, even the governor and these members will tell you, Western has also seen a lot of the Gen Z protests, and they are raising critical issues that need to be addressed.
What lies ahead for the ODM party is uncertain, and only time will reveal the party's next moves. Joel, K24 TV, Nairobi.
All right, now that particular story by Joel Chacha takes us to our conversation here in studio. It has to do with the issues to do with the opposition coalition, with the recent developments, seeing NARC Kenya writing a letter to the Secretary General of the Azimio Coalition, noticing them that they want to quit the coalition. Joining me for this conversation here and try to make sense of this particular development is Asha Bashir, who is the Secretary General of NARC Kenya Party. Thank you so much for making time, Asha.
Thank you.
Now, let's start with this. Why are we leaving the coalition, despite a call saying, oh, we are very intact? Why are we leaving?
It is important to let viewers know that NARC Kenya as a party, from the onset, we've been in Azimio, true supporters of Azimio and the cause that we championed for in the last general elections. Came after the general elections, we started the issue of the NADCO, after the protests. As a party, we made our decision known that for us, the cost of living was at the center stage of the NADCO. However, the same was never discussed. Other items were picked, but not the cost of living. We were very clear and categorical on the onset that by virtue that the cost of living is not a topic of discussion, we distance ourselves from the NADCO report. Because in a democracy, you also allow others to have their say. So we had that dissenting opinion. Nevertheless, because it's a home where you're many children, we said, fine, let's give our dissenting opinion, but with respect and dignity. Fast forward, we saw what happened in the country, the Gen Z's revolution, and here we are, as Azimio, we are talking about dialogue. For us, we refused. We said we are not boarding on that one, for the sole reason, Brian, that we've been having dialogue since time immemorial. What has this dialogue achieved, including the latest NADCO? What has this dialogue achieved? Do we need dialogue to deal with the rampant corruption? Do we need dialogue to actually compensate the young people? Even as we speak today, there are young people arrested for peacefully picketing as per Article 37. So the key question then is, are we being sincere as a coalition, and are we saying that for us, we already did the NADCO, which we dissented, but fine, it took. What are the findings of this NADCO? All the time we keep saying we want to do dialogue. But does the president need dialogue, or what he needs first of all is actually implement the 2010 constitution and actually ensure that organs and structures are working? You do not need, in my opinion, a dialogue to discuss corruption. Okay,
was this communicated to the coalition's organs when it comes to the way forward as far as this conversation is concerned?
Yes, because you see, for a coalition, like I said, it's moving with dignity and respect, because a home, Brian, a political coalition is a home. A polygamous home, if I may equate it, with many children and many homes. So the fact that as a home we do not agree does not mean we disrespect or we refuse or we move with contempt. What we are simply saying is the house is no longer conducive for us, because for us this whole issue of dialogue, first of all, who are we talking? Why is it that now the political class was not able to achieve what the Gen Zs have achieved? And we need to also accept that. So the minute that the Gen Zs have done their revolution, done whatever they've done for this country, and then all of a sudden now we say, no, we want dialogue. Remember, I've told you this dialogue has never achieved anything. Okay. And then fast forward, we immediately move now to finish it up by now joining the same government that we are giving ultimatums and conditions and saying, these are the conditions. So before even the conditions are discussed, you're already the key members, and one of the political parties has its members in cabinet.
So in your letter you say, kindly take note that our stay in Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya coalition is not tenable due to the prevailing political developments. Does this have to do with anything to do with ODM members being nominated to the national to join cabinet?
It has everything to do with the whole arrangement. Like I said, it started with NADCO. We said, okay, as a home, as a polygamous home, we also, because we were now a minority at that time, we said, okay. We moved again, you said dialogue. We told you there is no dialogue. We were very clear we are not boarding on dialogue. We want the backstops with the president. Can he act? What is this dialogue all about? We want to see you implement the 2010 constitution. We want to see you stop corruption, rampant wastage, and you making the country where we desire it to be, because the country is for all of us. Then now you make it worse by now picking members of the opposition to dilute opposition completely. But what we are simply saying as a party is that we cannot continue, because those young people who died for a cause.
I want to take a break, but before that, do you feel as now Kenya you're shortchanged in that particular coalition, because it's one party that was actually nominated, has its members nominated to take these particular positions, and they haven't said no to these particular nominations. So if at all we are going to say the president is getting into the opposition and trying to weaken it, yet to some extent it sounds like the opposition was willing to do that.
No, you see, we are not shortchanged, because we said from the onset we are not boarding. Okay. Those who are boarding for the dialogue, those who are amenable to have the discussion, those who appeared at KICC to do that are the ones who agreed. You see, it is a democracy. The fact that we're in Azimio and we're in a coalition that we actually respect does not mean that in the event that we do not agree, that we will actually now start saying we were shortchanged. The issue was, from the word go, we were against the dialogue. We were very clear we are not going to board. We have no reason to see what we are discussing. People are dying. You continue arresting people, abducting people. Atrocities are still meted on the Kenyan people. So what are we discussing? So from the onset, we were not shortchanged, because we do not need any position in government. Neither do we need any appointment. Neither do we need dialogue. What we are simply saying, can the president and his regime do their job? Okay.
Now, this is the thing. I want to take a break. Kalonzo Musyoka, who is the Wiper Party leader, did say that this is the thing. The coalition is still intact. We'll be coming back with Asha Bashir to just find out why they decided to leave a coalition, despite it's only one party that has been nominated to take over cabinet positions. Yet there's other constituent parties that still remain in that particular coalition. So why make that particular move if at all it's not the entire coalition that has decided to go against the agreements that they agreed on earlier? We take a break. We'll be back in a few.
Furahia na Star Times. Enjoy our amazing channels with the best dramas and telenovelas daily. Discover your love language.
Will you marry me?
Words of affirmation.
I'm sure I like you, because you're unlike everyone. You are my baby.
Quality time.
Life isn't worth living without